welcome you all, and thanks for choosing to be here. And I'm sure this 1 hour is going to be extremely enriching and exciting for all of us. So we basically will be discussing today about the orchestration of applications and scope tomorrow, and via or through full stack development, and how we can achieve this through full stack development. Uh, I would also like to share that there are many interesting aspects about full stack development. Specifically, year 2021 is been considered as the best time to build your career as a full stack developer. As companies are looking to hire professionals who have the knowledge of all the layers of an application and can take a full leadership of a project as well. So, as a full stack developer, you must have both technical as well as a soft skills, which will which we will talk about today. And we have been joined by our expert trainer, Mr. Varun Gupta. So let me take you through just briefly about Varun. Varun basically is a maestro who has so far trained more than 150 professionals and students, and he carries a glorified signature in emerging tech points like full stack. So Varun, I would just like to bring you in here and share a brief about full stack development, how it can change you know life for people, and of course could be a promising career side as well. So Varun, over to you.
Thanks everyone. Thanks Shashank. Hi everyone. Welcome to the session. So let me share my screen. Just give me a minute. Okay. Give me a minute. Okay, so kindly confirm. Can you able to see my screen? Is that my screen is visible to everyone?
Yes, Varun, it is.
Okay, fine. So let me set up the agenda for today. So this is the session we're going to discuss about the Docker, or you can say containerization. This is one of the buzzword in the entire world, in the IT industry. These days, a lot of developers want to learn about the Docker and containerization because this has become the basic standard or the benchmark to deploy your application. So in today's session, we'll be discussing about the what is Docker, how it's different from the virtualization, and then we're also going to do some hands-on, some demos where we try to understand how to create a container, how to deploy application using a Docker container. So let's get started from the introduction to Docker. First of all, let me take a use case. Why we need Docker? What is the problem that Docker is solving? Why everybody is crazy about this containerization? Let's take a simple scenario. You as a developer developing an application, and that application required a couple of things. Of course, whenever you're developing an application, you require certain tools, some libraries, right? So maybe you are building a Java application. Now, when you're building a Java application, you need to install Java on your local machine. Maybe you require MySQL as a database, and you also may require. Okay, is it for everyone? Am I audible to everyone clearly?
Yes, Varun, we can hear you loud and clear.
Okay, so Ajitesh, maybe this is the issue at your end. Can you just try to rejoin the session? Okay, so we were discussing about the problem before the Docker and see how Docker will going to help you to solve this problem. The problem is, suppose we as a developer, when we want to develop an application, we may need to install certain softwares, certain libraries, some tools we may require to build an application. Let's take a simple use case where we are building an application using Java or Java stack, you can say. In this case, we are going to we need to install Java or Java SDK. We also need to install MySQL Server, which is the database we mostly use with the Java. Then we also are going to use the Tomcat, which is a default server we generally use for deploying or running our Java web applications. So as a developer, I set up my machine. Before I start developing an application, I set up the entire environment and everything going very well. But once I'm done with the development, I need to submit my code to the QA team. QA means quality assurance team, or maybe you can say the tester team. Then the tester has to install each and every software, the tool, the library in order to run your application for testing. Now, in that case, what will happen? There's a disconnect here. Sometime we might be using a different version, or maybe my tester has installed a different version and he just start complaining, hey, he installed all the tools that we may require, but sometimes it's still not able to run the application, and then immediately say your code is not running, there might be a bug. And you immediately replied, it's working fine on my computer, there's no bug in that. And we keep fighting on this and wasting the time. This is something that we need to eliminate. So in that case, what is the solution? The solution can be, what we can do, we can package the entire application into a Docker container. Benefit is, a Docker container you can consider as a kind of a container in which we're going to deploy the application with all the dependencies. Assume that you can say you might be having a container which contain your Java code, which also contain your Java SDK, which also contain your MySQL, Tomcat, or any other library that you may require. And then you're going to package this application in the container and hand over to your tester team. Then though they in that case, they don't have to install any kind of a software, any tool on their local machine. They're just going to take the container and run the application within the container. The benefit is, in that case, now you can able to run the application without any doing any setup on your local machine. Same thing when moving from the tester to the maybe to the staging team and then the production team. They don't have to do any kind of a replication of the same environment. We can use this container, which is self-sufficient, contain all the dependencies, and we can run in any environment. That is the one advantage we have with the Docker, right? Another use case can be, suppose these days we are building microservices. There's a huge demand for the microservices. If you search on the internet also, you will find there's a huge demand for the microservices. And this is something which is upcoming and a hot technology these days. No matter you choose any Java, Mean, Mern, .NET, Python, everyone want to build the application using a microservices. Now, what is microservices? Just to give you a brief idea, suppose we are building a e-commerce application. And that e-commerce application consists of multiple services. Maybe we want to have a module which will provide us the authentication. We have a module which provides us the product data, product information. We can call as a product service. We might be having a cart service responsible to manage the cart. We having a service which can be the order service. So now in that case, suppose we have multiple modules. As per the microservices, we're going to split the application into a smaller unit, a smaller micro unit. That's the reason we call them as a microservice. Every service responsible to perform a one task, right? Every service has its own dedicated database, right? The point is, now instead of having a very huge, bulky, a large application, we split into multiple micro units. There are several advantages of doing this. First, it's going to make your application more scalable, more modular, flexible, expandable, manageable. You can split the task into among multiple team members. They can work independently because these microservices intention is to work them independent individually. However, if they want, they can communicate also. But the idea is we want to make them as independent as possible. Take a simple example of this big billion day. You know, this Flipkart, Amazon, these have a large e-commerce site. They're not depending on a one single application. They have multiple micro units running in the background. And they are doing it very efficiently. But the problem comes when they roll out this big billion days sales every, quarter, in every quarter and a half yearly, they roll out this kind of a services. They're expecting almost 10 times traffic as usual. And a lot of people are coming only for window shopping. They just want to check the deals and the products. They may not go into all of them who are visiting website. They're not placing the orders. Of course, there are many people who place the order also, but the maximum pressure is on your catalog service. Now it's like a very convenient for us to pick up a specific service and scale up. When I say scale up, I mean I need to replicate that service multiple times. So how are we going to do that? First of all, we're going to package the application into a container, right? And that container we can replicate multiple times to distribute the load. So this containerization give you the flexibility to split your code into multiple instances, and that help you to scale up and scale down at any point of time. Now it's not only the scaling up. After 10 days, what we can do with the so many of servers, it going to cost a fortune to a company. They want to scale down. How to do that? They can eliminate the container at any point of time. So this kind of flexibility we have. That's the reason the Dockers are being used, because another thing is, suppose you can build this microservices on different technology stack. Suppose one service running on Java, second running on Node.js, other running on JavaScript, next running on Python, and they have their own databases. Suppose if I want to run everything on a single machine, I need to install all the softwares. Become a tedious job, right? You may not have, you have to do a lot of installations, then you have to do a lot of configuration, which become a headache. I don't have to do every installation on my local machine. What I can do, I can package my application in such a way it does not require any kind of a software on my local machine. I can just simply run that container and that contain everything that we may require, right? So this is the benefit of using a Docker. Docker give you the ability to split your application into microservices and then package them in such a way that they can run independently. You can add more and more containers whenever you want. At the same time, you can scale down at any point of time. That is a kind of flexibility we have the Docker container, right? So Docker is a very essential tool these days. Every company, they are looking forward to migrate their legacy application into the containerization, because these containers are light in weight. If you compare with your virtual machines, they are very light and they are very affordable. If you have to deploy the entire virtual machine, that might be cost you higher as compared to the Docker containers. On a single virtual machine, you can run multiple containers as well. That is the kind of flexibility we have. So what is a Docker? So Docker, as you understand now, it's kind of a container. You can consider as a, you might have seen this kind of a, there's a very, you might have read on the newspaper, maybe on the internet. There's a very famous ship that's stuck in that canal. What is the purpose of the stick, that ship? The ship is used to transport the containers. And this containerization word comes from that only. So Docker is a tool which we can use to manage your containers. So containers consist of your application code and all the dependencies. So Docker acts as a containerization platform that enable you to bind, build, deploy your software quickly and reliably. You can run multiple containers on a single Docker host. And this becomes the standard unit which provides a single point of services. But this is not the end. When you have, let's say 10, 20, 100 containers, you can do it very efficiently. But when you are talking about a large application, you might have 10,000 containers. In that case, to manage them or more efficiently, you require certain more tools. Then comes the Kubernetes. That also a very hot topic you might have heard in the IT world. Everybody also want to learn about the Kubernetes. So Docker is a kind of a platform we can use to containerize the application, and Kubernetes is used for the orchestration, which means for managing your containers. That will going to check the health of the containers, because it is not the case that every time every container is working very perfectly fine. So we also have to monitor their health. According to their health, we have to check whether they need some kind of an update, whether any container need to be restart, need to be rebuilt. So these things we can manage from the Kubernetes. That could going to give you kind of a dashboard, and from there you can able to monitor all your containers. Maybe this is something we can discuss in some other day, but Kubernetes is also one of the essential tool which comes with the Docker also. So container, as I said, is a kind of a unit which is used to package your application. Now, if we compare the virtualization with containerization, you can see Docker container does not have this guest OS, and that is how it can become the light in weight. Because of the virtual machine, they comes with a lot of guest host OS, right? That will go to increase the size of your size of your machines. And in the case of containers, we don't have this guest host. Rest everything is fine. We have some infrastructure, operating system. Then we have a Docker engine that are responsible to manage your containers. Why we need Docker container? It is convenient way to package the application. Development can create ready to run container application. This is a kind of a, you can say, a life cycle of a container. Everything that exists has its own life cycle. As a human being, we also have a life cycle. We born, we grow up, we become old, and then we die. Similarly, the containers also have its own life cycle. So the container, we're going to use that image to create a container. Then we can stop the container. Then we can destroy the container. So these containers also have its own life cycle. There are two things you will going to learn in this. First is Docker Hub. Second is Docker Engine. Now Docker Hub, you can say it is a kind of a online platform which gives you some kind of a space where you can maintain your images. You can consider as a Google Drive. In the Google Drive, we can maintain our documents, our images in the cloud, which we can use later. Similarly, in the case of Docker, we have a Docker Hub. which is a centralized repository where we can maintain and store our images, which we may require in future. Right? So sites, basically, when we talk about the containerization, it's about Docker only. So I mean, we have to use, when it's orchestration and the containerization, that means we are using some kind of a tool. And Docker is one of the essential tools that we mostly use. Now, let me give you an example. Suppose, first of all, for example, I want to build an application. So when I say, yeah, I'm coming to that point only, guys. We have to build small application. Just to give you the context, we're discussing about the containerization and orchestration only. Now we were going to build a small application that will be on Spring Boot, and then we'll see how to package the application. So first of all, let's go say, we can go to the Spring Boot initializer. So I'm going to create a small application in Spring Boot, and then we'll see how to package the application. So first of all, let me just give some group name. This is going to be, yeah, then this is the application name will be my Spring demo app. I'm just going to add one single dependency, and that is the Spring Web. And then we can generate the project. Let me extract this here. Okay, let me open my IDE. So this is the project that I need to open in my IDE. So let's open the project. We can open the existing project. We can give it the path. So this is my default application. You can see now I'm going to create a simple one single endpoint. Suppose just a second. Now this is my small Spring application. Now here we have to create, let's say, a simple use case. So I'm just going to create a simple folder, a package. Let's say this is my controllers, and I can create here a new Java class that's going to be my home controller. So this is my REST API. So I'm just going to create here. I'm going to use the annotation called REST controller. And in this, we can have only one single endpoint. Suppose we can have a single endpoint. Let's say public string. Let's say hello. I'm going to use here get mapping. And we can give it a path, let's say hello, right? And that's just going to return a string. That's it. Of course, you can build a lot of resources, the complete API. The intention is just to see how to package the application and deploy it. So we just going to expose one REST API controller that is a home controller, and then we have only one endpoint called hello. Let's test the application, but before we test the application, let's configure the port number also. So I can just write here, this is going to be my server dot port equals to, let's say 8081. You can save this now and try to run the application. See, we can run this. Right now you can see my app is up and running and listening to port number 8081. Just to confirm this, we can go back to the browser and test the API. So we can say localhost 8081/hello. And you can see I'm getting a response as expected. So my app is up and running. Now we have to package this application so that it can deploy it. So how to package everything? There are many ways we can do this. One of the easiest ways, we can use the without a Docker file. We can do this with the help of Docker file, or else we can use the Maven tool to create an image. Image will going to have the source code, which is going to bundle the entire application into a container image. And that image you can use to replicate n number of containers. Now what we can do, we can go and we can execute a command that will be mvn, means a Maven, and then we can say spring boot build image. This is the tool we can use to create an image very quickly without having a Docker file. Otherwise, we have to create a Docker file where we have to write all these steps how to create the image. But now this is the internal tool we can use to create the image. Just give me a second. It will take some time, and you can say taking the help of the Packito build tool to build the entire image. In a matter of few minutes, without writing any kind of a configuration, we can able to create an image. And that image contain the entire all the dependencies as well as the source code. You can see I'm getting a build ID. The image, this is the image ID. That means the image has been created successfully. Build succeed. The image has been created successfully. Build image has been created, and that is the name of the image. Demo 001 snapshot. That is the image. This is the version, and this is the name of the image. Now, if you write this command docker images, you will see the list of images, and you can find a new image called docker build demo. This one. You get a new image here. Now, if you want to create a container from this image, right? In that case, what we can do, we can use this docker run command that can use this image to create a container. Suppose, for example, you buy a new laptop or machine. The first thing that you're going to do is you need to install the Windows or maybe any operating system. Now install the operating system. To install the operating system, we have to require some kind of an image, and that image we can use to install any kind of a software. Similarly, to create a container, we required some kind of a image. So now to create a container from this image, we can say docker run rm -p. We need to expose the port number. So I can export port number 8081, which I want to map it with my 8081 port number. And then you have to give the name of the image. That is demo colon 0.0.1 hyphen snapshot. The moment you execute the command, the docker will going to use this image to create a container and expose this port number 8081. Let's see. Okay, since it is running, we have to stop this. Now we can run this again. Now you can see my app is running. Now, if you go back to the, let's say, PowerShell and write a command here, let's say docker ps. Docker ps is a command. You can see the list of all the running containers. You can see I have only one container running on port number 8081. Just to confirm this, you can go back to the browser and hit again refresh. You can see now this app is running because of the container, not from your local machine. Clear so far? Any doubt anybody have? Feel free to ask. Any question?
Uh, just I have one thing. Okay.
Yes.
Just want to know where you are storing the artifact. Have you come across the artifact method, or just only creating a Docker image?
Automatically, when we create this build, automatically generate the build your jar file. You can see in the output, you can find you have the jar file, and that jar file will be used to create your container image.
Okay.
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 This build tool is, I mean, you can, when you want to customize it, then you can definitely go ahead and can have your own Docker file where you can have your own configuration, how you want to store the artifact, you want to attach any kind of volume, you can do everything, whatever you want.
Okay. Thank you.
Guys, anyone, in case they have any questions, you can just feel free to ask any questions.
Sorry, come again?
Yeah, I'm saying that in case any one of them have questions like Pradeep asked, probably someone else, in case they want, they can just put up some question there.
Yeah, you can put up your question in the chat window also. We can have some discussion in the end as well. So as of now, what we have done so far, what we do, we create a small application, a Spring Boot application. We create an image and use that image to create a container. The next step is I want to push my image into my Docker Hub so that I can be used across with my other peers. So in that case, if you go back to my browser and I can go log into my Docker Hub, it's you can say kind of a GitHub. So we have a GitHub as a version control tool, and Git as a version control tool, and GitHub is as a cloud service provider, which give you some space where you can maintain your code for the collaboration. Same thing, you can have the Docker Hub. You can log in with your account. So as you can see, I have only 3 images right now. I want to push this demo image into my Docker Hub so that it can be used or reused by other members. So in that case, from this, I can push this image into my Docker Hub. So there are two type of repository. One is a central repository. Second is a local repository. When you have that image available in locally, that while creating the container, it will take your image and create a container. But if you don't have that image, it will pull the image from the Docker Hub. So in that case, now if I want to push my image into the Docker Hub, first I need to log in. So I can use this command docker login, connect with my Docker Hub account. Since I already logged in, it is not going to ask me to log in again. But in your case, if you're doing it for the first time, it's going to give you the pop-up where you have to enter your credentials. Now, if you say Docker images, say Docker images, you can see the list of images we have right now. Now I can add a tag here because generally whenever we want to publish the application, there might be several versions. You might have seen this is the software, this version 1.2, then 2, then 3, like this. And then we have the latest, which is going to give you the direct latest version. Similarly, I want to add a tag to this. So we can use this command, docker tag. You can give it a name, that's a demo. The version is 0.0.1, snapshot. Now you want to give it a name, let's say, usually as per the best practices, you should always try to give a name by your account name, then slash the image name, just to avoid any kind of ambiguity. So I can use my name, my account name, let's say Gupta 2809 slash, this is my demo. I don't have this any name. And then if you don't want to add any tag, suppose you can say tag and you can add any kind of a tag. But if you don't add it, automatically it will choose the latest. Now if you check the images again, now you will see it's going to add another tag, latest, automatically. Now I need to push this image, so I can use this command, docker push, and the name of the image, that is, this is the name. It's a big image, so it will take some time. 261 MB is the size of the image. Let's refresh this. Okay, now you can see update few seconds ago. I can see now image has been pushed to my Docker Hub. And stop this, actually it just got hang. You can see the image has been pushed successfully. Now what I can do, if I see Docker images, right, I have multiple images. I want to remove all the images. So in that case, I can use this Docker image rm means remove, and let's remove this demo first. You have to make sure that you are not running any container using this image. So if you see that currently we're running one container, so I have to stop the container. To stop the container, we can use this command, docker stop, and the container name. Either you can use this Docker container name, or you can just add some few initial letters from the container ID. Let's say 1F4BD. The container got stopped. Again, if you check the PS command, we don't have any container. It doesn't mean the container has been removed. Only we have changed the status of the container from running to the stop. How to get to know what other container which exist? You can use this Docker PS -a. That's going to give you all the containers and their status. You can see the status is stopped, but container still exists. So we want to completely remove this container. You can say Docker rm means remove. Docker rm, and then you can write this 3F59. Now it has been completely removed. Okay. There's a typo here, 3535, and then we have F9. There's no container running. Fine. Now we can able to remove the images you want. So Docker images. You can remove this. You can say Docker rm, and then you can say demo. I want to remove this image. Docker image rm. Add the ID. I'm just going to remove all the suppose I can say Docker, and why I'm removing this, because I need to create another container from the image, and this time I'm going to pull image from a Docker hub. Let's say okay. Now we have this container. We have this image which I want to use to create a container. Now in that case, you can simply use this command docker pull. If you want to first pull the image, you can use this command docker pull, and then you can write the image name, or else you can say docker image docker run. So docker run command to perform two tasks. One, pulling the image from the Docker hub if it does not exist locally, and second, use that image to create a container. So we can say docker run -p 80 81, which I want to map with this 80 81, and then we can write the image name. The image name, we can write this image name. That is the image name. You can see again, my app is up and running, and you can go back to the browser, refresh this, you can still able to see the response, same response. This application completely packaged in a container, and you can use it, you can replicate it, get multiple instances if you want to scale up and scale down. So that's all about from my side. If you have any doubt, any questions, feel free to ask now. I hope you got an idea how to use containers, how to package the application.
Guys, so any questions that you have, you can raise your hands and we'll just unmute you, or you can, type in the chat box in case you have any questions. Feel free to ask anything that you have in mind related to the subject that Varun was talking about, anything which is related to full stack, any queries, feel free to ask.
So I have one question. So since you are running this application, means you are giving an endpoint as 8081. Okay, so if see there will be, if there is a request is getting increased, the hits are getting increased. How do you manage this?
Come again, last part, what you said?
Yeah, how do you manage if the requests are getting more number of requests? How do you manage see when it come to standalone environment, we have a web service we'll be running, and we'll see like if the load is more, and we'll start to bring up a few more web services attaching to the whatever the application is. For in this case, so for your endpoint, if the requests are getting more, so how do you manage the request? Means how the containers are getting, means you are getting creating a multiple containers, or how you are trying to do?
Okay. See, first of all, in the microservice architecture, we does not the client does not directly interact with your microservice. We're going to have a proper architecture where we're going to have the API gateway that is responsible to receive the response request from the client application and forward to the respective microservice. It's not like that we have multiple containers. We have multiple microservices running on different URL, different domain. So I cannot able to add all these domains into my client application, because in future, if you restart the application, might be you change the port number, we again have to go back and change the URL in our client application. So client will communicate with the through the API gateway, and API gateway will be responsible to forward the request to the microservice.
If the requests are getting increased, so how do you manage the capacity?
So that depends, like you can, I mean, there are multiple ways you can do this. If you are deploying on the AWS, we have the option to auto scale. You can set up the limit. If you are hitting that, let's say this number of requests, then you can automatically create more instances of the container. Or suppose if you're using the 50% or 70% of the CPU consumption, then you can automatically, it will going to scale up. So that is something you can do in the infrastructure. In the case of the application, in the source code, you can also use something called throttling. You can configure that per second how many requests you can process. If you're getting a more request in a defined criteria, then you will not going to serve that request.
Okay. So
suppose what happens, sometimes we have the API. We want to set up the limit that nobody can just going to, maybe somebody try to attack your infrastructure or your application using the DDoS kind of attack. So that you can limit by setting up a limit that per second I want to reserve only 2 or 4 or maybe 5 SQL requests.
Okay, how it is going to manage if it is in a large scale? How it is going to manage? Suppose in a standalone environment, we have around like per minute or per hour, we have 1,000 requests, bits are coming in. How do you manage in the container environment in this case?
So see, containers, nothing. You can say a simple approach will be like whenever we get a request, an HTTP request, right? So first of all, we're going to have a load balancer that will be responsible to forward the request. So API gateway going to forward the request to the load balancer. There are 2 types of load balancer we can configure. One will be the load balancer that is public facing. Second is the internally. So whenever you're getting some kind of a request from the client application, the load balancer will decide which microservices, which container is healthy, and it which is less occupied. So automatically it will going to distribute the load accordingly. Suppose we have 10 microservices.
How you are scaling up okay, you're scaling up containers. Like as we do it in AWS, if you are working with EC2, as it is going to auto scale. So same process you are following.
Correct.
Okay, but so if we have means that this is really useful for a large scale, the container solution is.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people are migrating. Even you can see any large application. You can take example of Netflix, this Flipkart, Amazon. All these are using these container services only.
Okay. See, what confusion why I'm asking this question is, what the confusion I have here is, see, if it come to an EC2 instance, we have a capacity, we have a type of EC2 instance, that will manage a request if the requests are more. Okay. What about in a container, say in a case of a container, it is it is a compacted one, and it doesn't have a like a OS environment as EC2 instance have. How it is going to manage if it is come to a large scale?
See, first of all, these containers require some kind of an operating system only. It's not something which is running independently. So we require some
in the backend. It requires
under we require an EC2 instance only. The objective is we don't have to, suppose we have one EC2 instance, but we're not using it to full its potential. So we can run multiple containers on that EC2 instance. So that give you the opportunity to run multiple services parallelly. Suppose one virtual machine you created and that running, let's say 4 to 5 microservices, and then you can replicate the same environment multiple times. So under the hood, it's using the same compute power of the EC2 instance only, but the objective is we not have to run a single application in an EC2 instance. We are running multiple.
Okay, I got it. I got your context. Thank you. This clears me. So basically, if you are running like in a ECS kind of environment, so basically, if you have okay, whatever the resource and whatever the container number of containers should run on per instance, okay, you have a cap there, and the instance are going to increase, and your containers are going to increase there.
Correct.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
Okay.
Thanks, Pradeep. Sai, I think you had a question in mind. Sai Sampath, can we have you there? Okay, I guess Sai has left probably. Mudit, did you had a question? Mudit Kapoor?
No, it is good. And just find like for this small application that we are developed, the size goes up to approximately 250 or 260 MB. So if we are developing some big applications, how much size it will go, and is it good to go with this type?
So, Mudit, I think this is, you can further see this is just a demo. So I am not using any kind of optimization. Of course, you have the option to optimize your images. And there's no such limit. I mean, whenever you create a Spring Boot application, that comes with a lot of dependencies. So going forward, when you're building a production release, that time you remove all the unwanted dependencies.
Okay. And mostly all the dependencies will be available with this Spring, maybe any type of language.
This container is self-sufficient. It contains everything that you may require. Even though if you don't have any Java installed on your system, still you can able to run this application.
And for industry specific, is it good to go with this hub or any other paid services available?
There are many. I mean, you can use AWS also, where we have the where we can create your in the Azure, in the AWS, in the on-premise. You can opt for any kind of it's not necessary to use Docker Hub only. Docker Hub is a community where you can have the official image also, but you can maintain your own, because sometimes we don't want to make your services, your images publicly open. In that case, you can use in-house infrastructure also.
Yes, thank you.
Great. So, Mudit, is your question been answered?
Yes, correct.
Great. So, anyone else? Ambrish, in case you have something to ask. Ambrish, Amit, Prashant.
No, I'm good.
Okay. So, Varun, I have one question. Rather, I would like you to throw much light on that. Like full stack development has been, the most trending programs. So, is actually the career so promising there for the people who just go through these programs, or do you think, it's still into a mode where it will reach to a peak?
Yeah, definitely. I believe like this time, like a lot of companies are investing hugely on the manpower, and they don't want to invest repeatedly. So they want to train one resource which is responsible to can perform on any layer. So since when is a full stack developer, it does not mean only the front end, back end. Full stack developer also include the testing, the DevOps, the cloud, everything. It's not only now, the thing has been changed. The industry has been evolved. It's not about only building the front end and the back end. You have to play a different role at different level. So being a full stack developers, you get the entire credentials where you can work on any of the layer from end to end, into end-to-end application, from the ideation to the deployment to the maintenance. So companies are looking for full stack developers just to make sure that they will going to invest only once for one resource, and that can play any kind of a role, or you can say kind of a one-man army.
Perfect. So does it also gives opportunity to an individual to become a professional or a freelancer in this stage?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people are now working opted, and even a lot of companies have come up with the option to work from home, remote developers. You don't have to even go to the any office. Also, you can work for remotely as a remote developer from anywhere in the world.
Great. I think Amit have a question. Amit, can we have your question, please?
Yes. Hi, Bert. Uh, Whenever we use Docker, so we basically package all the dependencies into a container so that we can run the container to access the or services or the processing which the code does.
Correct.
So we also can create exes, right? We can create like whenever I do code in Python, sometimes I can create an exe for the Python code, a single file exe or a single directed exe, which also package all the dependencies into a single folder or single file. Then we can run and port that exe and run in different system as well.
Correct.
So how is the Docker beneficial over the exe?
Okay, see, to answer your question is, well, whenever you create any exe.epk file, any kind of a executable file, that means you are just creating a package, and that will be that you need to deploy on individual machines. But using a Docker does not mean only you are packaging an application, but you are building a distributed architecture where you have the capability to deploy multiple instances. If you have this exe, now you have to install it manually to every machine where you want to run the application. But having a container, you can scale up and scale down. You can choose how many containers you may require to distribute the load. Exe is just a kind of you can say a package where we can able to deploy, you just can create a package to deploy the application. But you need some kind of a system, some kind of a distributed architecture where we can actually going to deploy multiple instances of that exe. Right? Did I answer your question?
Yeah, sure. Thanks.
Great. So I would like to thank you, Varun. Like, it was pretty insightful that you answered the questions and you also showed the scope about full stack development. Thank you so much for giving your time, and we really appreciate that. Guys, in case you want any more details about full stack, or the information related to the parts or the topics into it, feel free to reach us. I would also like to introduce my colleague Anamika Gupta here. She is a program advisor. ZBA Academy uh, runs a full stack development master's program, which gives you, not only a hands-on experience and knowledge, also gives you sort of assurance in terms of placement. So I would like Anamika to throw some more light on that part. So Anamika, over to you.
Thanks, Shwetank, and thank you, Varun, for such an informative and insightful session. As Shwetank informed all of you, I'm a program advisor at ZBA Academy, and being a program advisor, I come across a lot of questions related to how this course is helpful to all the people out there who are inspiring to make a career in a full stack development field. So Zebia itself, being a software development and IT consultancy company, exactly knows the skills which is required in a professional. And keeping all these things in mind, we have come up with the courses, that is Masters in Full Stack Development program. And it's a 5-month course which is completely on. Let me know once my screen is visible.
Yes, it is Anamika.
Okay. Thanks, Shraddha, for confirming. So this is our website, and this is where you can get more information about the courses which we offer. There are a lot many other courses which we offer, but when we're talking about full stack today, so full stack development program, which is into online live instructor training. It's a 20 weeks course which is for 5 months, and the classes are conducted only on weekends, so it is specially designed for working professionals.
Hello. Anamika, I think we're not able to hear you. Anamika, I think you are on mute. Okay. So guys, I think there's some technical glitch. Probably Anamika will just quickly resume. So broadly would like to share this with you that in case uh, full stack development is something that interests you and you're looking out for a promising career and something like a hands-on experience and knowledge, feel free to reach us, and we'll be more than happy to assist you, guide you, and make you a hardcore professionals about on full stack development. Mentors like Varun and the I'll say, you know we have the army of people who are absolutely well and handheld in the technical programs, because being an IT consulting, we also get a chance to work on a client side. We also have a real time execution projects and the programs going on. Feel free to approach us for any of your such queries, and we'll be happy to train you on full stack development. I'll be sharing the link of our program detail over the chat box. So feel free to raise any of your queries. Also, we'll be sharing the numbers and the email IDs where you can write in your queries and any sort of thing that you think is, any information that you need on the program, you can definitely ask. Anamika, are you there?
Shwetank, do we receive the recording of this session over mail?
Yes. There. In case you guys want, we can definitely will share the recording of the program as well to you on the registered email address which you have shared with us. So we can share the recordings also to you.
Sure, that will be grateful. Thank you.
Shashikant, anything else that you want to know or ask about? We still have Varun there.
No, nothing. So, shall I log out or still the session is continuing?
I'll just share the details of the program there on the chat box, and then of course you can carry on in case you have anything to ask, anything to tell. Feel free to write us over the emails. I'm
Sure.
sharing the details over the chat box. Please feel free to do it. And in case any one of you want to enroll within next 12 hours, you'll be availing next, a special discount of 5% on the fees. So I've just shared the link over the chat box. Are you guys able to see it?
Yes, we got the link.
Great. Also, I'm sharing my details there. You can write in to me at any point of time. I'm sharing my email address with you guys. Can you guys see that? I have shared my email address with you.
No.
Okay. Is it there now?
In the chat?
Yeah, in the chat box.
No, it is not there. Only the last message is for the doc.
Okay, just a minute. Let me try that again. Is it visible to you guys?
Yes, now it is visible.
Okay. I'm also reachable at this number. Feel free to reach me. And in case you want to, enroll this for this program in next 12 hours, you will be availing extra 5% of the discount. If you guys want, I can also quickly take you through about, the options that we offer in the program. Let me take you through that. Can you guys see my screen there?
Yes.
Great. So, we take you through the entire thing where you get an opportunity, if you enroll in this program, to opportunity to work with Xivia and the clients of Xivia as well. This will be basically a 20 weeks training duration. So, as Anamika shared, that it will be a weekend program, 8 to 10 hours of live virtual classroom, which basically means 3 to 4 hours on every day, every Saturday, every Sunday. So, and of course, this program comes with 100% placement assistance. The coming back starts in the month of, on 29th of November. And then the topics that we'll be covering is, uh, basic development part. Just a moment. Yeah. So in terms of ZBA benefits that you get, full stack development program contains 8 certification layers. You will be getting a proper launchpad to start your IT career. And if you talk about the placements, someone who's just a fresher and completes it, there could be a basic salary of 7 lakh per annum. This program will give you an interactive learning of 300 plus hours. Total live mentorship will be of 170 plus hours. You will get a one-to-one mentorship. At the same time, you get options to study under the masters, like for the master class by the CXOs and the people who are at the top-notch positions handling the things, and virtual labs for each module. I think Anamika is there. Anamika, if you can just continue from here. Okay, no, she is not there. Okay, so and at the same time you get flexible payment options as well. I'll just quickly take you through that as well, where there is no need to pay in case you feel that you need certain options there for a payment. Yeah, so this is the program fee, which is 44,999 plus GST. It lands up to around 53,000. You can choose an email option where you can just on the spot make a payment of 25,000, and first monthly installment comes up to 16,500, and the second also of 16,500. In case you don't want to go for a 3 EMI option, you just want to split the payment into two, there could be 26,550 each month. So guys, this is what ZBA Academy offers you to upskill your career, and feel free to reach out to us. Thank you so much for your time. Appreciate that you took out your precious time and joined the session. Look forward to hear from you all. Thank you so much, guys. Take care.
Yeah, thank you. Thanks all.
Thanks.
Thanks for sharing the details.